Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. You know, there's a little child that lives within each and every one of us. And a child is in control. There's no doubt about it. I was just working with a man who he's had a major operation and he needs to change his life and is going on my diet and doing learning meditation and changing everything, starting to walk 5 miles a day and changing everything about his life. But interestingly enough, every time he tries to do something, like eating right or doing meditation, it just doesn't happen, and there's always an excuse. And finally, I said, you know what? I think your little boy inside is very angry. And then he came back and said, I wrote my little boy a note, a letter, and then I did automatic writing. I let the little boy write, and he said he was extremely angry because he's been able to do everything he wants to do all his life, drink anything he wanted, eat anything he wanted, and now he's being controlled, he feels, and he's rebelling in a big way. And so you've seen this little kids, they do the tantrums and that type of thing. Well, we have that little kid inside of us, and if they don't feel loved, they will go into a tantrum and they will stop us from actually growing and becoming the person we want to be as we grow to become this adult person. And I've seen this with other people before. I remember doing counseling with a man who his life was never run right. He never had any money. Was always moving from job to job, and you would see him, and all of a sudden he would just fall asleep in the chair, like that. And it was like his little boy inside didn't want to listen no matter what. And it was very interesting. And to this day, he is still the same way. You can't help that person unless they want to help themselves. And they have to talk to that little boy inside or little girl inside and allow them to find a place of peace and a place of balance and also a place of knowing that they're going to be loved no matter what. But we also have to say, you know what? I am the adult in control here, and I have to help you to grow up and allow myself to become the fuller being that I really want to be, because I am headed towards a goal in my life. And a lot of times we get, cut off at the pass by this little kid inside, and it keeps wanting to go back to the being that free little kid of doing anything it wants, eating all the ice cream, having the ribs, drinking all the beer, and on staying up till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And that doesn't really allow us to, grow as a person deep down inside, and especially spiritually. And so that little kid is always in control. But what can we do? We can talk to that little kid. We can allow ourselves to have a conversation on a regular basis. What does that little child need? Usually the child just needs to be loved. And he just wants to know that you're not going to abandon it, not going to ignore it, uh, not going to, forget about him, and just want to feel loved. And that's part of our unconscious part of us, that unconscious little boy, a little girl inside that wants to feel loved. And how do we love ourselves? That's a good question. And I think a lot of people have forgotten how to do that. We get so caught up into work and what's going on at work and making money and all these different things. We forget about that little kid. And a lot of times we don't even take a second thought about it. And, that's why we go splash in the mud puddles when it's raining. That's why we go, sing as we walk down the street. That's why we, even pick out silly looking colored shirts that we want to wear all these different things. And, oh, that's why we get a puppy, because we feel good as a little kid inside when we have a puppy. All these different things that help us to understand that little kid which is always inside, and to appease that little kid and love that little child, and let him know that he's loved no matter what. And it's let him know that he's loved unconditionally. It has nothing to do with what his actions are. We'll love him no matter what. And it's like talking to a child. You know what I mean? If a child does something wrong, you say, you know what? We love you no matter what, but we'd like to see this kind of behavior. And uh, you know, if you say that's wrong, don't do that anymore, and all that kind of stuff, then the child feels unloved. You don't want to do that. Even with this child within, we want to say, I love you, we care about you, but we got to move to a higher place of becoming more of an adult inside. And we eventually teach that child to become a person who has more wisdom. And they become happy. They become happier because they want to grow. There's absolutely no doubt about it. That little child wants to grow. And they don't want to be stuck at 3 or 4 or 5 years old. They want to become the person that you want to be. But at the same time, they feel like their freedom is being impinged upon. So we have to have that conversation on a regular basis. Also, one of the best things to do is to allow ourselves to do some mirror work, and then go up to a mirror and look into our eyes, and be able to say, I love you. And keep saying, I love you. And mean it with all your heart and soul. And I see a lot of people, first thing they do is they either start laughing. That's the number one. That's usually the number one. The second one is they start crying uncontrollably. And those two are normal. They just say, I can't do this. This is silly. That's number three. So those three things tell me that there's that child inside that is hurt and needs to be held and healed, and allow them to understand that they're not alone and they are going to be cared for. And when we can do that, I do this every morning in the mirror. I say, I love you, Paul. I love you, Paul. I love you, Paul. And I like you. I like you. And that is really important, because when it comes down to big decisions, tough decisions, a lot of times the little kid will run amok and take over, and just because he does feel he's not loved. And so we have to reassure that child on a regular basis, and we have to talk to that child. We have to do some things that make the child feel good. Sometimes we have to go to the movies by ourselves and make us feel good. Maybe we need to go down and get a special dessert that is just for us, that's sugar free, that makes us feel good. Uh, Anything, maybe we need to go jump on those mud puddles. I know a particular lady is my age, about 65, and she jumps in mud puddles. I think it's great. And we need to let that little child out. And sometimes we need to go do things by ourselves. We don't have to be tied at the hip with our spouse all the time. Maybe we need just to make our spouse, say, you go do your thing today. I'm going to take care of the little child within, and I'm going to go do something special. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to go do something special to take care of my inner child. And allow ourselves to just have a crazy day. Maybe it's just sitting in the backyard and watching the clouds go by and trying to figure out what the animals are in those clouds. At other times, maybe it's maybe you haven't been on a skateboard in years. Maybe you want to go skateboarding for the first time in years. There's all kinds of different things. I don't know what your inner child needs. I really don't. But there's a lot of things that might make them feel happy. And and there's a lot of things that are really interesting to do. You know, I don't eat ice cream, but sometimes I see other people. And I just happened to see this lady the other day. This was last week. And I know she's not on my diet or anything. She works at the mall. And for some reason, some little voice inside of me, I think it was a little boy, it said, go buy this lady an ice cream. So I did. And I came up there and said, this is for you. And she was so appreciative. She said, you know, you don't know how great this is because I didn't eat anything all day, and I would know how I was going to get through work without eating anything because I have to do the shift here, and we both kind of laughed, so it was kind of funny, but at the same time, we have to listen to that little voice. It's telling you what you need to do, and so allow ourselves to listen to the little boy, listen to the little girl, allow ourselves to grow and change and always have fun. I think that's important because a lot of us became way too serious. I mean, I think that's one of the problems we have these days. People are way too serious. If we can't laugh, we can't enjoy life and have a good time, then that's taking all the fun out of life. I mean, I think that's really important. We are here to enjoy life, not just to endure life. And so every day to do something for the little child. Every single day, yeah. I think my walking is with a little child because I get to help people. I smile a lot at people, and they smile back. And the little child inside of me loves walking. There's no doubt about that. So that's part of my helping the little child. And I've also taught the little child inside of me to love working out. So, I'm doing my weights and doing my sit-ups and pull-ups and things like that. He really is attentive and enjoys that also. But that wasn't always the case, but I had to teach him about that type of thing. And now he's gotten to the point where he really would miss it if he didn't have it. So allow yourself to teach your child about, the importance of laughter, the importance of, taking care of the body, the importance of going out and interacting with other people and laughing a lot. And allow yourself just to connect with that child. We seem to ignore our child, and that makes us sad and depressed. And usually that child will fight back. And the child inside has lots of control and will create havoc in our lives. So if we want to really feel at peace and joyful and uplifted, talk to your child. Deal with your child on a regular basis. My mom is critically ill now. She's in the hospital, not expected to make it out of the hospital. Her organs are shutting down. And when you have somebody like that in your life and at that place in their life, we have to look at the good side. We have to look at all the good things. We have to dwell on all the positives that happen. I think it's really important. They raised a bunch of kids. They got to do a lot of things they wanted to do and traveled a lot, and they enjoyed life. And most of all, they had a lot of friends and they laughed a lot. So I think that's important. And we have to dwell on all those good things. So take care of your little kid inside, so when you get to your last moments in your life, you'll be able to look back and say, oh yeah, it was good. My little kid feels great about this life. I feel good about what I did and what it's, even if I get towards the very last few breaths of my life, it's okay because I really loved my little child within and took care of my child every single day. So may you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And please subscribe and tell others. And if you want to get a hold of me, all my contact information is down below. And all my consultations are free. If you care to make a donation, that is really greatly appreciated. And remember, most of all, above everything else, I love you.